How do you escape a man who smiles like a savior in public, yet becomes the nightmare you pray someone, anyone, will rescue you from? If you like this type of video, please subscribe to the channel. Stay with me. And if you've ever survived something similar, I'm glad you're still here. I used to believe danger had a face. Sharp, obvious, easy to recognize. My husband proved me wrong. His name was Daniel, and for 3 years I convinced myself I was safe beside him, that love could smooth over the bruises I hid beneath sweaters, that promises could patch the fear lodged beneath my ribs. People thought he was gentle, charming, a man who held doors open and remembered birthdays. They adored him. I did too, once. But love becomes something else when you start counting your breaths before unlocking your own front door. When silence becomes a shield. When your body learns to shrink before your mind understands why. I wasn't always like that. There was a time I laughed loudly, cared openly, believed the world was kinder than it actually was. But the night everything changed came slowly, quietly, like a whisper slipping beneath the crack of a closed door. It was last winter, a cold that felt like it wanted to settle permanently into my bones. I had just finished working late, exhausted, my phone buzzing with 3 missed calls from Daniel. "Where are you? Why didn't you pick up? Come home. Now." The tone was sharp, clipped, the kind he used when the world had disappointed him and I was the nearest target. When I got home, snow dusted my hair. He stood in the doorway, watching me, jaw tight. "You didn't answer," he said. "I was driving," I whispered, stepping out of my shoes. "That's not an excuse." He said it calmly, too calmly. That was the tone I feared the most, because it meant the storm had already formed, and I was standing directly beneath it. Minutes later, plates were shattered. A picture frame cracked against the wall. The bruise blooming across my shoulder pulsed like fire beneath my skin. Afterward, as always, he sat beside me on the bed. His fingers brushed the bruise he'd given me. He kissed my forehead. "I just worry about you," he murmured. "You know that, right?" I nodded, because saying no never ended well. He wrapped an arm around me as if he were comforting me, but I knew better. His arms were a cage. The next morning, I covered the bruise with makeup and went to work. I smiled at coworkers, laughed when expected, pretended I didn't feel my ribs ache with each breath. By noon, the makeup had begun to smear, and I slipped into the restroom to retouch it. That's when I noticed someone standing outside the door when I came out. A man. Tall, dark jacket, kind eyes. He wasn't looking at me, at first. He was studying the hallway, scanning it like he sensed something wrong. When his gaze finally met mine, something in his expression softened, like he recognized pain before I even spoke. "You okay?" he asked quietly. I froze. Why would a stranger ask me that? I forced a smile. "I'm fine." His eyes lowered, just for a second, to the faint discoloration peeking near my collarbone where the makeup hadn't fully held. He didn't comment on it, didn't stare, didn't push. He just said, "Sometimes people say they're fine when they're breaking." His voice wasn't pitying. It wasn't prying. It was gentle, like he was giving me permission to breathe for a moment. I stepped past him quickly, heart pounding. I didn't know him. He didn't know me. But something about his presence lingered long after I walked away. The days that followed grew tighter, heavier, like the walls of my life were inching inward. Daniel became more controlling, more suspicious. Every phone call I didn't answer immediately, every minute I arrived home late, all of it became fuel for his rage. The bruises became harder to hide, but I stayed. Because fear teaches you to stay. Because leaving feels like stepping off a cliff without knowing if there's ground beneath you. And because Daniel had convinced me, slowly, strategically, that no one would believe me. That I was the problem. That I was lucky he put up with me at all. Eventually, I started believing him. Until the night everything unraveled. It was a Thursday. Rain hammered the windows. Daniel had been drinking, more than usual. I made a mistake. A small one. I forgot to answer a message he sent while I was in a meeting. He grabbed my wrist so hard I felt something snap inside my chest. Not bone, but hope. Hope that he would ever change. Hope that I would ever escape. When he finally let go, I stumbled backward, breath trembling. "Why do you make me do this?" he hissed. I didn't answer. My voice was gone. He walked out of the room, muttering curses under his breath. And for the first time, instead of fear, I felt something else. A spark, a whisper inside me. Run. I grabbed my coat, my phone, my keys. I slipped out the back door into the cold, soaked darkness. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I would do. I just knew I couldn't stay another second. I ran until my lungs burned, until my legs shook, until the streetlights blurred through my tears. By the time I slowed to a walk, I realized I was near the office building, the same building where I'd seen the stranger. And when I reached the door, shivering, drenched, barely breathing, he was there, the same man from the hallway, as if he'd been waiting. His eyes widened when he saw me, not with shock, not with judgment, with concern. Immediate, instinctive. He stepped toward me slowly, like approaching a wounded animal that might flee at any sudden movement. "What happened?" he whispered. I opened my mouth, but no words came out, only a sob, a broken, cracked sound I hadn't heard from myself in years. He didn't touch me, didn't crowd me. He simply shrugged off his jacket and held it out. "Let's get you inside," he said softly. "You're safe." Safe. The word hit me like a blow, because I had forgotten what safety felt like. I followed him inside. The building was quiet, lights dimmed, the air warm compared to the freezing rain outside. He guided me to a small lounge area, not pushing, not leading, just walking near me, close enough for comfort, far enough for space. When we sat, he crouched down slightly to meet my eyes. "My name's Alex," he said gently. "You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. You don't owe me an explanation, but I'm here if you need someone." The kindness in his voice broke something in me. Pain rushed up all at once, too heavy to contain. I covered my face with trembling hands. I didn't know where else to go. "You came here," he said. "That's enough." For a few minutes, we sat in silence. Only my shaky breaths filled the air. He waited, patient, still, like he had all the time in the world. Finally, when my breathing steadied, he spoke again. "Is someone hurting you?" I nodded. Just once. Barely. He inhaled sharply, but stayed calm. "Do you have somewhere safe to be tonight?" I shook my head. "Okay," he said. "We'll figure something out. You're not going back there." The certainty in his voice startled me. It was so absolute, so steady, that for the first time in years, I felt the faintest flicker of hope. But that hope shattered a second later when the door behind us swung open. A voice echoed down the hallway, familiar and cold. "Where the hell is she?" Daniel. My blood turned to ice. Alex straightened, jaw tightening. He didn't know who Daniel was. He didn't know what he was capable of. But he stepped in front of me anyway, shielding me, protecting me. A stranger, standing between me and the man I slept beside every night. Daniel's footsteps grew closer, faster, the sound of a storm I could never outrun. My breath stopped. And that was the moment, the exact second, I realized. If I stayed behind Daniel, he would kill me. If I stepped out, Daniel would drag me home. I was trapped. And the fight for my life had only just begun. Daniel's voice cut through the dim hallway like a blade. "Emily!" My name, shouted, sharp, shaking with rage. I flinched instinctively. My body reacted faster than my mind, the old programming snapping into place. Stand still, stay quiet, don't provoke him. Alex saw it. He shifted slightly, broad shoulders blocking Daniel's view of me. His voice stayed low, steady. You shouldn't be here, he told him. Daniel stopped a few feet away. Rain dripped from his hair, his clothes clinging to his body. He looked unhinged, desperate. Who the hell are you? Daniel demanded, jaw clenched. The person who's asking you to leave, Alex said. I felt Daniel's eyes flick past him, trying to locate me. I shrank back against the wall, heart thundering so loud I thought Daniel could hear it. Emily, Daniel said, softer now. The danger in his voice doubled when he softened it. You need to come home. Let's talk. You're upset. I get it. Alex didn't move. She's not going anywhere with you. Daniel's expression twisted, shock mixing with fury. For years, no one had ever challenged him. No one had ever stepped between us. He wasn't used to resistance. She's my wife, he hissed. This is between us. Alex didn't waver. Not anymore. A beat of silence, cold, heavy. Daniel stepped closer. Move. No. I'd never heard that word aimed at Daniel before. Not with that kind of certainty, not without fear lacing the syllable. And Daniel didn't know how to handle it. His hand twitched, like he considered lunging. Alex noticed. He angled his body defensively, clearly ready to block him. But before anything could explode, I made a sound, small, broken. Daniel froze at the sound of my voice. I forced myself to look at him. Please, just go home. He stared at me as if I'd slapped him. His jaw trembled. He looked wounded, pitiful even. You're choosing him? He whispered. I inhaled shakily. No, I'm choosing myself. The moment the words left my mouth, I knew there was no going back. Daniel's face darkened. Something inside him snapped. I'm not leaving without you. Alex stepped closer to him. Yeah, you are. Daniel glared at him, then at me. You'll regret this, he spat. And then he turned and stormed out of the building, the door slamming behind him so hard the glass rattled. The silence that followed was unbearable, heavy, trembling. I sank into the chair behind me, shaking uncontrollably. Alex didn't touch me. He just crouched in front of me again, voice like quiet shelter. You're safe now. I promise. I covered my face and sobbed, not from pain, but from the sudden weight of realizing I was finally not alone. I don't remember how long I cried. Minutes? Hours? Time bent around me until everything blurred. When I finally calmed, Alex handed me a bottle of water. Slow sips, he murmured. I nodded, my hands trembling around the plastic. Thank you, I whispered. The words felt too small for what he'd done. You don't need to thank me, he replied softly. No one deserves to live like that. His tone held no judgment, only truth. Do you have family nearby? He asked. I shook my head. No one close. What about a friend? Someone you trust? I swallowed. I lost most of my friends after I got married. Daniel didn't like me spending time with people. Alex nodded slowly, his jaw tightening. That's how they isolate you, he said quietly. So you feel like you have nowhere to go. My eyes burned. He understood. He really understood. Look, he continued, voice steady. I'm not trying to make decisions for you, but you shouldn't be alone tonight. You're welcome to stay in the guest room at my place. Door locked, total privacy. I'll sleep on the couch. I hesitated, not because I feared him, but because I feared what Daniel might do next. As if reading my thoughts, Alex added gently, or I can take you to a safe shelter. Whatever makes you feel protected. Protected. The word felt foreign on my skin. I, I don't want to be alone, I whispered. Then come with me, he said, standing and offering me his hand. Not to pull, not to lead, just to steady me if I needed it. And I did. The drive to his apartment was quiet. Rain streaked across the windows, the city lights smearing into soft colors. My head leaned against the cool glass, exhaustion weighing down every muscle. Alex didn't force conversation. He didn't probe for details. He didn't ask what Daniel had done. He simply drove, calm and slow, like he was trying not to shake the fragile pieces of me still barely held together. When we reached his building, he led me up a narrow staircase. His apartment was small but warm, soft lights, a lived-in couch, books stacked in corners. Normal. Safe. He handed me a clean towel and a soft blanket. You can shower if you want. I'll wait in the living room. Thank you, I whispered again. He smiled gently. I'm glad you're here. Something in my chest tightened at the kindness in his voice. Inside the bathroom, I caught my reflection, wet hair clinging to my face, eyes red, bruises blooming across my neck and shoulder. I looked like someone I didn't recognize, someone I pitied. The shower water hid my tears. For once, I let myself cry without covering my mouth. Sobs echoed off the tiles, raw, shaking. When I stepped out, wrapped in the towel, I felt lighter. Not healed, not whole, but lighter. Alex had placed a folded sweatshirt and shorts outside the door. Clean, soft, neutral colors. No expectations, no assumptions. I put them on and stepped into the living room. He stood when he saw me. Feeling any better? He asked. A little. You hungry? I shook my head. He nodded, not pushing. I set up the guest room for you, he said. You can sleep as long as you need. Before I could respond, my phone screen lit up from the coffee table. Daniel. 20 notifications. Voicemails. Messages. Missed calls. Alex glanced at the screen, then at me. You don't have to answer any of that tonight, he said softly. You get to rest. My chest tightened painfully. I'm scared, I whispered. I know. His voice was warm, steady. But fear doesn't get to decide your life anymore. I felt tears prick again, but softer this time. Quiet, tired tears. Good night, Emily, he said gently. I'll be right out here if you need anything. I nodded and stepped into the guest room. The moment I lay down, the exhaustion finally claimed me. But sleep didn't bring peace. It dragged me into nightmares, Daniel's voice echoing, his hands gripping, the sound of glass breaking, the guilt, the fear. I jerked awake hours later, heart pounding, breath ragged. And there, sitting quietly in the hallway just outside my door, was Alex. He wasn't asleep. He wasn't scrolling his phone. He was just there, keeping watch, like a stranger who had decided my life was worth protecting even when I couldn't protect it myself. I didn't wake him, didn't speak, but something inside me shifted, a tiny, fragile truth blooming in the dark. Maybe I wasn't as alone as I believed. Maybe safety wasn't a fantasy. Maybe, just maybe, I had found a way out. But Daniel wasn't finished with me, not even close, because by morning, he had already done something that changed everything. I woke to the sound of a vibration, soft, persistent, too early for sunlight to reach the curtains. My heart clenched, already knowing, already fearing. My phone. I reached for it with trembling hands. 53 missed calls, 31 messages, 2 voicemails so long they filled the storage. Daniel wasn't hurt. He wasn't remorseful. He was hunting. I sat on the edge of the bed, breath thin, pulse fluttering beneath my skin. For a moment, I considered turning the phone off again, but then 3 words flashed across the screen. I found you. My stomach dropped. Ice filled my veins. My breath snagged. He couldn't have. He couldn't have. I stumbled out of the room, panic rising so fast it drowned rational thought. Alex was on the couch, half awake, sitting up the second he saw my face. "What happened?" he asked, voice sharp with alertness. I handed him my phone with shaking fingers. His eyes scanned the messages. His jaw clenched hard. "He didn't find you," Alex said firmly. "He's trying to scare you." My voice cracked. But what if he's right? What if he's close? Alex stood, steady and calm. "Then staying here is still safer than anywhere else. We'll keep the curtains closed. We won't open the door for anyone. And you won't go outside alone. Not today." Tears blurred my vision. "Why are you doing this for me?" He looked at me like the answer was obvious. "Because someone should have protected you a long time ago." My breath wavered. "And because you deserve a chance to breathe without fear." The words hit deeper than he knew. He wasn't trying to save me because he pitied me. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was simply human, kind in a way I'd forgotten people could be. But fear still clawed inside me. "What if he comes here?" I whispered. "Then I'll be here," Alex said, not blinking. "I won't let him near you." His certainty steadied my shaking muscles, but another message pinged on my phone. This one was worse. A photo. My car, parked in the lot outside Alex's apartment. My breath left my lungs in a single violent gasp. "He is here," I whispered. Alex grabbed the phone, his expression darkening. The photo was fresh, taken in the rain, footprints visible near the wheels. He wasn't lying. He'd been close, maybe still was. Alex moved fast, shutting all blinds, locking the windows, checking each door twice. I stood frozen in the center of the room, arms wrapped around myself. "I'm calling the police," Alex said. "No," I choked out. The word surprised even me. He paused. "Why not?" "Daniel told me once, if I ever tried to report him, he'd say I was unstable, that I made everything up. He works with half the officers in our area. They know him." Alex's eyes flickered with anger, not at me, but at the world that had let Daniel exist unchecked. He took a breath, grounding himself. "Then we call outside the district, or an advocate, or a hotline. You're not trapped, Emily. You just think you are." My throat tightened. "He'll ruin my life." Alex stepped closer. "He already is. Let someone help you stop him." Before I could respond, someone knocked. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Not fast, not frantic. Controlled. My blood turned to liquid terror. Alex motioned me behind the kitchen wall. I obeyed instantly, breath locked in my throat. Another knock, louder this time. "Emily." Daniel's voice seeped through the wood. "Come out. I know you're in there." Alex's entire posture sharpened, protective, fierce. He didn't open the door. He didn't answer. Daniel knocked again, hard, authoritative, like the door, and I, belonged to him. "You think hiding changes anything?" he called. "You think I'll just walk away?" I covered my mouth to muffle a sob. Alex stepped closer to the door, but still didn't speak. Daniel continued, voice shifting into that chilling calm I knew too well. "You're confused, scared. This man, whoever he is, he's manipulating you. Come outside and we'll talk, just the 2 of us. Remember our vows? We fix things together." My stomach twisted. Alex finally spoke. His voice was iron. "She's not coming out. Leave." Silence. Then a sudden, violent bang. Daniel kicking the bottom of the door so hard the frame shook. I yelped, clinging to the counter. Alex didn't flinch. He planted himself in front of the door, solid as stone. "Last warning," he said. Daniel's tone morphed, anger turning sharp as broken glass. "You don't know her like I do. She belongs with me." Alex's voice dropped to a deadly quiet. "No one belongs to you." Another slam, harder. The deadbolt rattled. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Terror strangled every thought. And then, sirens. Thin at first, distant, but growing louder. Daniel swore viciously. "You think this is over? You think she's safe?" His footsteps pounded away, fast and fading. Alex waited another full minute before moving. He exhaled, tension unwinding from his shoulders. "He's gone," he murmured. I collapsed to the floor, panic shaking through me so violently I couldn't control it. Alex knelt beside me, not touching, but near enough for warmth. "You survived this," he said softly. "You're stronger than you think." "I can't do this," I sobbed. "I'm so tired." "I know," he whispered, "but you don't have to do it alone anymore." I clung to his voice, desperate for something solid in the storm. The police knocked moments later. The neighbors had called in the disturbance before Alex even had the chance. But when they asked if I wanted to file a report, my throat closed. Fear, shame, the old conditioning, all of it suffocated the words. I need time," I whispered. Alex didn't pressure me. He simply nodded, standing close enough that his presence felt like armor. When the officers left, he handed me a glass of water. "You're safe now," he said again. But his voice, for the first time, wavered. Because both of us knew the truth. Safety wasn't a place. Safety was a battle. And Daniel wasn't done fighting. That night, Alex moved a chair into the hallway again, refusing to sleep even after I begged him to rest. Hours passed in tense silence, the shadows long, the rain unending. Around 3 a.m., I woke from a nightmare, my own scream echoing in the dark. I opened the door and found Alex already standing there. "Bad dream?" he asked gently. I nodded, tears gathering. He hesitated only a moment before speaking quietly. "You don't have to stay in that room alone if it scares you. You can sit in the living room. I'll stay up with you." The offer hit me harder than I expected. Not romantic, not suggestive, just human kindness in its purest form. We sat on the couch, wrapped in separate blankets, a soft lamp glowing between us. For the first time in years, I told someone the truth. Everything. The bruises, the threats, the manipulation, the isolation, the nights I thought I wouldn't survive. Alex didn't interrupt, didn't look away. His jaw tightened sometimes, his eyes softened others. But he never made me feel judged. When I finished, the room was unbearably quiet. He took a slow breath. "You didn't deserve any of that," he said softly. "You were hurt by someone who should have protected you." My tears fell silently. "And I swear to you," he added, voice steady and fierce, "he will never touch you again." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But danger has a way of clinging to the skin long after you escape the fire. And somewhere out in that rain-soaked darkness, Daniel was already planning his next move. Morning crept into the apartment like a shy guest, soft, pale, barely touching the edges of the room. I hadn't slept. Not really. Alex had eventually drifted off lightly on the couch, arms crossed, head tilted toward the window like he was listening for danger even in sleep. I watched him for a moment, the steady rise and fall of his breath, the quiet strength in his posture, the way he stayed close enough to protect me, but far enough to respect every boundary. No one had ever offered me safety without wanting something in return. Until him. But peace was brief. At 6:14 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A voicemail. Not from Daniel. From my boss. I hesitated, then hit play. Emily, Daniel called the office this morning. He said you're having a mental health crisis. He said you ran out last night and he's worried for your safety. HR is involved. Are you okay? Please call me immediately. My throat closed. This was Daniel's tactic, his manipulation, his control, stretching into every corner of my life. A slow panic crept through my limbs. He's turning everyone against me, I whispered. Alex woke the moment he heard my voice shake. What happened? I handed him the phone. He listened. His expression hardened, quiet anger simmering beneath the surface. He's trying to discredit you, Alex said. That's what men like him do when they feel power slipping. My chest tightened. I might lose my job. No, he said firmly. You're going to tell them exactly what happened. I can't, I whisked. What if they don't believe me? What if he finds out? Alex stepped closer, lowering his voice. You don't have to be afraid of him anymore. But I still was. Fear doesn't disappear just because someone tells you you're safe. Fear lives in memory, in bone and muscle and instinct. I sank into the chair, hands trembling. Emily, Alex said gently, kneeling to meet my eyes. Let me help you talk to them. How? I whispered. I'll drive you there. I'll sit in the lobby. You won't have to walk through a single doorway alone. His words were steady, anchored, and something inside me loosened. Maybe I could do this. Maybe. At the office, every hallway felt like a battlefield. My palms were sweating, my breath uneven. Alex walked beside me until we reached the reception area. He gave me a reassuring nod. I'll be right here, he said, no matter what. I swallowed hard and stepped into HR. My manager looked up, concerned, confused. Emily, are you all right? Daniel said, he lied, I said abruptly. The words surprised even me, but they were true, and once I started, I couldn't stop. He's been hurting me for years. Last night I ran because I thought he was going to kill me. Silence. Heavy, sharp, unblinking. My manager's hand covered her mouth. Oh my God, Emily! Her voice cracked. HR chimed in gently. You're safe here. Whatever you need, time off, documentation, support, we'll help. I couldn't breathe for a moment. Relief hit me so hard, it almost hurt. They believed me. For the first time, someone outside my private world of terror believed me. When I stepped out of the meeting, Alex stood immediately. The moment our eyes met, I felt it, the invisible thread pulling me toward him, the sense that I wasn't fighting alone anymore. It went okay? He asked. I nodded, tears slipping down my cheeks. He exhaled quietly, relief softening his shoulders. But peace lasted only seconds, because as we walked toward the parking lot, my breath halted in my throat. Daniel stood leaning against Alex's car, smiling, a cold, lifeless smile that said he'd been waiting. Emily, he said, voice deceptively calm, we need to talk. Alex moved in front of me instantly. No, you don't, he said. Daniel didn't look at him. His eyes stayed fixed on me like I was prey he'd already claimed. You're making a mistake, Daniel murmured. You think he can protect you? You think anyone can? I shook my head, stepping back. Daniel took one slow step forward. I want you to listen very carefully. He didn't get to finish. Alex's voice cut through the air, sharp, unwavering. Take one more step, and I swear I'll put you on the ground. Daniel's expression flickered, rage warring with disbelief.
You don't know anything about us, Daniel spat. I know she's terrified of you, Alex replied, and that's enough. Daniel laughed, a cold, empty sound. She's always been dramatic. She twists things. She lies. Alex didn't flinch. Then why does her entire body shake when you're near? Daniel's jaw clenched. A muscle in his cheek twitched. Then, in a sudden, violent blur, he lunged toward me. Alex moved like instinct, grabbing Daniel's arm, twisting, shoving him back. Daniel stumbled, but didn't fall. His face contorted with fury. "This isn't over," he shouted. "She's my wife!" "No," I said, stepping out from behind Alex. My voice trembled, but I didn't hide it. "I'm done being yours." Daniel blinked, stunned, like he'd never imagined I'd speak to him that way. "You'll regret this," he hissed. Alex stepped forward, shielding me again. "Go now, before I make sure you can't come back." Daniel looked between us, at Alex's steady strength, at my trembling defiance. Then he spat on the pavement and stormed away. My knees buckled. Alex caught me before I sank to the ground. "You're okay," he murmured. "You're safe." But I wasn't. Not yet. Because Daniel had crossed a line in daylight, in public, without hesitation. And men like him don't stop when they lose control. They get desperate, they get reckless. And later that night, when the world had quieted and I thought I could breathe, I learned just how far Daniel was willing to go. That night, the world felt too still.
No rain, no wind. Just a thick, unnatural quiet that wrapped around the apartment like warning tape. Alex insisted I sleep in the guest room again. He stayed in the hallway. Same chair, same silent vigilance. But sleep wouldn't come. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every small noise made my breath catch. Fear sat behind my ribs like a coiled animal. Just after 1 a.m., I heard it. A scrape. Soft. Metal against metal. My eyes snapped open. For a moment, I thought I imagined it, until it came again. The sound of someone testing the back door. My pulse hammered. I slid off the bed, creeping quietly into the hallway. Alex was already standing, his posture tense, alert, muscles coiled. "You heard it too?" I whispered. He nodded, his voice low, controlled. "Go into the bathroom. Lock the door. Don't open it unless I say your name." Fear climbed my throat. "No, I can't leave you." "You're not leaving me," he said gently. "You're protecting yourself. Go." I obeyed. My hands shook as I closed the bathroom door, twisting the lock. The room felt too small, too silent. I pressed my ear to the door. The back door handle jiggled again, longer this time. Then a quiet thud, a shoulder hitting wood. I covered my mouth to keep from crying out. A male voice, low, furious, muttered curses outside. Daniel. I knew that voice like I knew the sound of my own heartbeat. Another slam, harder. Alex's voice followed, sharp and commanding. "Leave now!" A snarl, a shove, the crack of wood splintering. I squeezed my eyes shut, tears falling silently. Then, a deafening crash. Someone burst through the back door. "Emily, come here!" Daniel's voice roared. My entire body froze. Alex's voice cut through the chaos like thunder. "You're not touching her!" A violent struggle erupted, fists hitting drywall, furniture scraping, bodies colliding. I heard Alex grunt, then Daniel shouting, breathless, enraged. "You think you can take what's mine?" "She was never yours," Alex roared. Something heavy slammed into the floor. I sobbed silently, shaking, hands gripping the sink so tightly my knuckles turned white. Then, a sharp cry from the living room. Pain-filled. Male. I couldn't tell whose. The terror became unbearable. I cracked the bathroom door open just an inch. The hallway was dim, shadows stretching long across the walls. Then I saw him. Daniel. Blood at the corner of his mouth. Chest heaving. Eyes wild and unfocused. He stumbled toward the hallway. Toward me. I gasped, tried to slam the door shut, but before I could, a hand gripped the edge from behind me. Not Daniel's. Alex. He pushed the door further open, positioning himself between me and Daniel. His chest rose and fell rapidly. His lip was bleeding, one sleeve torn. But his eyes, they were steady, unshakable. "Don't touch her," Alex said through clenched teeth. Daniel laughed, a manic, broken sound. "You think she'll choose you? You think you're her savior?" He spit blood onto the floor. "She'll crawl back to me. She always does." "No," I whispered. Daniel turned sharply at the sound of my voice. In that moment, I saw something inside him snap. A final fracture. A dangerous clarity. He lunged, straight at me. Alex moved faster. He slammed Daniel back with full force, driving him into the wall so hard a picture frame fell and shattered. Daniel fought wildly, swinging, clawing, desperate. Alex blocked every blow, every lunge, every attempt to reach me. The fight was brutal, two bodies in a tangle of instinct and fury. Then, finally, Alex pinned Daniel's arm behind his back, face pressed to the floor. "Stay down," he shouted. Daniel snarled like an animal. "You ruined everything." "No," Alex said, panting. "You did." I grabbed my phone with trembling hands and hit 911. My voice broke as I spoke. "Please, please, my husband broke in. He's trying to hurt us. Please, hurry." The dispatcher's calm voice steadied my trembling knees. "Officers are on the way. Stay on the line. Stay where you are." Minutes stretched into eternity. Daniel kept thrashing, cursing, screaming, promising revenge, until the sound of sirens filled the night air. Police stormed the apartment, pulling Daniel from the ground. He fought them too, rage still burning wild in his eyes, but they restrained him, handcuffed him, dragged him outside. His voice echoed down the hall as they took him away. "You'll regret this, both of you." Then he was gone. The door shut. Silence returned, thick and heavy. My legs gave out. I collapsed to the floor, sobs tearing through me. Alex dropped beside me instantly. His hands didn't grab. They hovered first, waiting. Then, when I leaned into him, he wrapped his arms around me with the gentlest strength. "It's over," he murmured into my hair. "You're safe now. I swear you're safe." I cried until my body had nothing left, tears soaking into his shoulder, breath trembling against his chest. He didn't let go, not once. Daniel was charged with breaking and entering, assault, attempted harm, and violations I couldn't even process yet. A restraining order followed, immediate and airtight. For the first time in years, he couldn't reach me, but the absence of danger didn't erase the fear. Healing isn't a switch. It's slow, messy, painful. The next morning, as sunlight filtered through soft curtains, I sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket. Alex handed me tea. "Are you staying here?" I whispered, afraid of the answer. He sat beside me, leaving space, not pressure. "I'll stay as long as you need me to," he said softly. "And even after that, I'll stay if you want me to." My throat tightened. "Why?" I whispered. "Why are you doing all this for me?" He looked at me for a long, quiet moment. His voice dropped to something tender, almost fragile. "Because the first time I saw you, you looked like someone trying to disappear, and I thought, no one should have to fade away to survive." My breath trembled. A tear slipped free. "And because," he continued gently, "I don't want you to disappear anymore. The world felt painfully quiet, and for the first time, peaceful. I leaned my head against his shoulder, not out of dependence, not out of fear, but because for once, I was choosing something for myself. Choosing calm, choosing safety, choosing the possibility of a life not written by fear. The nightmare had ended, but something else, something fragile and hopeful, was beginning. I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know what I would rebuild or how long healing would take. But as Alex's hand lightly brushed mine, warm, steady, patient, I realized something with absolute clarity. I had been saved by a stranger, not because he fought for me, but because he reminded me I was worth fighting for. And for the first time in years, I believed it too. Thank you for listening to this journey. If my story touched your heart even a little, stay with me. Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe, because every voice that joins this space reminds someone out there that they're not alone.